What is going on YouTube? In today's episode of Rad Dad Life, we're going to be talking about the 2022 Santa Cruz Bronson in the R kit. Stay tuned.
Just let me fall to my grave. Just let me fall to my
Welcome back. So before we even get started with the bike check, we're going to cut to me riding the bike just maybe like 10 minutes ago, giving you my feedback as I take on the trails. So we'll go ahead and cut to that now.
All right, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and review my 2022 Santa Cruz Bronson in the R kit. Pretty much stock. We'll talk about it more in the review afterwards. This is going to be the ride portion.
Wait, before we get any further with the review of the bike, can we talk about one thing? Can you guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel? I'm trying to work my way to 1,000, and it's been a steady grind. It definitely is increasing in viewer or subscription count, but it is a grind for sure. So if you guys watch the videos, if you guys like them, even if it's just a little bit of a like, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you like to see, and I can provide more of that content. All right, here's the rest of the review.
This is my house. This is the trail. Pretty fortunate to live this close to a trail. I don't get too many opportunities to ride, but when I can, I'll go for a little ride. It's always nice. So overall, this bike has been pretty phenomenal. It's been everything I really wanted. It's fun, it's poppy, it's light. It's just been an overall really fun bike. Legs are burning. I did a 10-mile ride last night. The legs are still a little sore. Very loose here. I really wanted to take bad lines on purpose so I can really get a feel how it feels on some choppier stuff. Oh, let's go back around. Little off-roading. Yeah, so right now I don't really... Well, yesterday I updated the suspension. Honestly, I haven't updated since they did it for me on the bike, and I don't know what settings, percentage settings they used on sag. So I just got on the bike and it felt great, so I just kept riding. But since I have a race coming up, I really wanted to know what all my settings were, so I made sure that I had my rebound set. I do love this bike for climbing. It's so nice. I am a small, but I'm actually where I feel comfortable on the bike, like I'm not too far back, not too much forward. I can actually be forward enough where I can rest my hands while I'm just climbing like this, which is nice. On other bikes I had to be a little bit further back, so that's also really nice. 800 mil bar still, but I ride like that, so it's not too bad. I don't ride with my hands way out here, but I could, which is really nice for when I need that stability. I've been riding with my new Freerider Pros. Just got them in. Woo! Almost lost it. Just a couple days ago, or I think a ride ago actually. Breaking them in. They feel good though. I like that traction and that protection I feel on them. So this is the new and updated Santa Cruz Bronson. I think it's the 4th one in its series, and it does climb remarkably well. When I pedal with power, there's very minimal pedal bob. I do have a lockout, but I don't think I've ever used it. Not even on fire road climbs I haven't used it. I haven't felt the need to. It just has that solid pedal platform, very supportive. Even if I give it power, just like I did now, I still didn't feel much bob at all. Compared to my other bike, which had the RockShox Super Deluxe, and then before that was a Fox DP2. Those had a pretty significant amount of pedal bob. But the DP2, that one that came on the Marin Hawk Hill, that one had a lockout, which I did utilize because of that pedal bob. But this one, not at all. Great climber, as you would expect it to be, being an all-mountain bike. But having that 160 up front, 150 in the back, you really feel like you can take on anything. I love this bike. Yep. All that's really up here by my house, it's literally just a loop. It's just flow. So as far as, at least for the short-term review video, all you're gonna see is a little flow. I'll talk about my other rides that I've gone with the bike, and at the same time you can watch other videos that I can also link that showcases me doing jump. Shit! But for now, let's just do the small little flow trail that we got going on here. Ooh, foot came off the pedal and still taking it. Man, that's fun.
All right, so the Mighty Bronson mixed wheel, of course, so it is a molded setup. It is 29 in the front, 27.5 in the back. They are both tires 2.4. They're Maxxis DHF rear. They've served me great for what I ride down here. That's what their purpose is for compact loose soil on top, which is pretty much all of Southern California is that same type of dirt. So these have given me perfect traction, very confident in my turns and jumps, and eventually when this front tire does wear out, I do want to go to the Assegai. I mean, the only difference that I saw in reviews is that one has better transitions from the turn to back to being center. But I mean, this was the champion for the longest time running. All right, so I do have the R kit, which comes stock with the Lyric Select. It is 160 up front. Then I have the Fox Float X in the rear with 150 of travel. I haven't actually taken this shock apart to see if there's any spacers in there, or any volume spacers, I mean. I'm sure there is. There always is at least one in there. But I do run this one 30% sag. I set it up yesterday, and I went on a ride yesterday, and I went on a ride today, as you saw earlier. The front, it did have 2 tokens in it already. I put one more token in just to make sure that I don't compress. I have bottomed out the fork once or twice, and they were pretty big jumps. At least for me, they were. And so I wanted to do one more token and see how that feels. I haven't done those same jumps again, but the bike does feel good. It still has, it retains that poppiness. It still feels agile. Everything feels great about this bike. So the bike does come stock with SRAM NX all the way through. Shifters, drivetrain. It's been working flawlessly. There's no problems at all. I eventually do want to upgrade to the GX because that's their workhorse, their best bang for their buck. But until this fails me, I won't change anything. The SRAM hubs are the only thing that I found out of the box that I did notice a difference between my other bikes and this bike. My last bike, it was a new Proof Giga. It didn't have these fancy hubs on them, but they were the Shimano hubs, and they just spin so much better than this one did. And they had brake rub on front and rear, so that says something. So that's one thing I really do want to upgrade. I'm waiting until at least I dent the rim, or do something that requires me to change it, or maybe build another bike and then swap these tires over to the new bike if it's just a hardtail. That's the only thing that I found right out of the box that was my main concern that has not improved over time. Is the rolling speed is definitely not as good. I thought maybe it was the tires, but these tires are meant for this and this areas that I ride in, so they shouldn't theoretically be that bad at rolling. The last set of tires were Michelin Enduros, but even when I spin it free like this, it doesn't spin nearly as fast or as long as my Nuke Proof Giga or even my Hawkhill, my Marin Hawkhill. I did add certain things just to spruce up the bike to my liking, of course, like this rear fender and the front fork fender. The rear fender does absolutely nothing. I thought it would look cool. I put the Santa Cruz sticker on there. I think it looks cool, so that's just my preference. The front tire does do a little bit. A lot of like loose rocks do fly in my face that I noticed before I installed it, so that did help in the front end at least. It does have a bash guard and chain guide by MRP. It is 125 dropper post SDG. It's worked consistently, it's smooth, and it's a lot faster running than the last 2 droppers that I had. All my droppers have always been the company's stocks droppers, brand X, and I forget what Marin Hawkhill is. I think it's a Send X or something. But this one feels more solid. The actuator, the lever feels solid. The dropper goes up and down much more consistently. Dropper is fantastic. I love that I can drop it all the way down and slam it. I can even get the 1-up 150, and I'm pretty sure I can slam that one too. So that's a great thing. The only thing that I've noticed that kind of irks me with the bike, and it is because of the design. It's not a flaw, so to say, but it is a nuisance, I suppose. Is trying to clean the rear shock. Trying to wash it, clean it, lube it. It's a pain in the butt. With this VPP suspension, it goes into the chamber. It goes pretty much inside the bike in this rear triangle, which is fantastic for, you know, pedal bob and absorption of bumps, and it works fantastic. The VPP on this bike works great, but cleaning that shock is a pain in the butt. Like I can't really ever clean it as good as I would like to. I get in there and I wash it, and yesterday I cleaned a lot of gunk off of there, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal for you to try to get 2 fingers in there and try to get your towels in there, or maybe like use a ruler to clean it off, it's always like, oh, I don't want to scratch my shock. And then lubing it is also not that easy because you can't really lube it thoroughly and then wipe it off like you would like to. So that's only one thing I've noticed with this style of rear shock, that it kind of is a pain in the butt to clean, maintenance, and properly set was a lot more difficult than it was just to have the, like my other bikes, have the shock straight down, so it was super easy, or they're all visible. The Santa Cruz does come with this nice protective chainstay. It works really well. It's nice and quiet. It does really help with that chain slap. I did end up adding some protection just on the high rub areas, like I always like to, because I do crash pretty often and I'm not the most elegant on the bike. So I added on the high rub areas underneath here. This has a nice bash guard here, and in between those two spaces I added some more protection. Where I usually have the bike hanging is right up here, so I added some other two protections here. Overall, the colorway, I really like it. At first, everyone gets the pay dirt gold. It's their tried and true Bronson. When you think of the Bronson, you think of the gold one, and it does look cool. A little too flashy for me, so I really did like this. Like, it's called moss green. It's like a nice gloss color. It looks great. The only thing that's hard to match this kind of blue with little hints. I mean, luckily at the bike shop they found these ones that match pretty good, but as far as updating, when I update certain shifters and hubs and all that stuff to match it 100%, it's gonna be a kind of pain in the butt. So I've had the bike since December. I've ridden it over, I'd say like 30 plus miles. I've taken it to Sky Park, Hoodlet Crooks, a lot of Sycamore because that's just the closest trail to me, and I have taken it to Greer Ranch once, and I have never felt underbiked. Like, I always feel like this thing is ready for more. I love that it's essentially, for me, it's the perfect bike. It's the all mountain bike, so climbing has never been easier. All bikes can climb, but certain bikes can climb better, and this is one of those bikes that can climb great. The way that the reach is set for me, I can actually lean over a little bit and kind of relax and pedal upwards, where the other bikes, the reach is a little bit further, and they've all been size smalls. Excuse me, they've all been size smalls, but the reaches have always been a little further, so I've never been able to comfortably rest on my handlebars where I can here, which is really, really nice. The wheelbase is right in the middle of my trail bike and my Super Enduro bike. So this one's 1188 and my Super Enduro was 1205. So I still feel super confident going down hills. But one thing I did lose with the Nuke Proof Giga, the Super Enduro, was that poppy, lively feeling. I just felt like that bike was more of a 29er type feel. Like, it was, I can close my eyes and just go straight down, and I most likely will end up at the bottom of the mountain. The point was that bike just felt like it could take through everything, and it really kind of deadened the trails for me, where this one brings everything to life. It brings every rock, every little curve, every bank, every berm. It brings it to life, and it just feels more alive, but yet still very, very controlled. Where the trail, the Hawk Hill bike that I had, I felt underbiked for sure. Underbike is the term? Overbiked? I felt like the bike was not capable enough. Yes, my skills weren't nearly up to par at the time, especially when I was really new. So I was really doing jumps and stuff with terrible technique, and I was getting bucked often. But nevertheless, that bike, it didn't suit what I was wanting to do, which is, I like to do jumps, I like to do drops, I like to send big, I like to try new things, even if I'm not 100% ready yet. I'm doing an enduro race coming up in a month from now, and I feel 100% confident with this bike. With that Hawk Hill, I would not feel confident. With the Super Enduro, I definitely would have felt probably a little more confident. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't plan on racing all the time. I plan on just doing this, putting my skills to the test, having a great time, and maybe doing it every now and then. With that Nuke Proof Giga, if I wasn't racing, then it kind of didn't bring me that 100% joy that this bike brings me every single time I ride it on the street, on the flowy trail, anywhere. Taking it to Sky Park, on the jump lines, on Naughty or Nice, I have a great time. Anywhere I go with this bike, I'm having a great time. So we'll walk you through the bike up here. I never did cut the bars, so that it is still the 800 mil bar length, which is a little bit wider, but naturally I keep my hands right around here, so honestly it is if I would have cut them already. Stem is really nice. It's Burtech stem and bars, Cane Creek. One thing we did notice is on the size small and size small only, or probably extra small as well, there is this weird little curve. At first I thought maybe it was a manufacturer defect or something, but I did talk to him and they said in all the size small frames they had to have this little curve just so they can keep the same geometry. So be it. Doesn't look as clean as that straight curve. Burtec bars, I do want to replace these eventually to the 1-Up bars. I hear nothing but great things. These brakes have been great. I know it's their bottom line brakes. Taking a couple falls already here. Company stock grips, they're actually really comfortable, and if you're wearing without gloves, they have a lot of grip on them. Nice and squishy and great grip. No rub at all, which is really nice. 200 rotors front and rear. Axle with an easy release, which is really nice just in case you have to do any kind of repairs. So overall, this bike has been exactly what I was looking for. I went from a trail bike, which really did bring the trails to life, but kind of scared me a little bit when I would try those drops and jumps, to a super enduro bike, riding the same trails where I had 100% confidence doing almost any kind of jump or any drop or anything, but just felt deadened. Like it really just, maybe it just had too much suspension. It was too extreme of a bike for the areas that I ride, that's for sure. I'm sure if I have taken that to Whistler or any of those huge mountain bike parks, it probably would have brought the bike to life. But for my intended purpose and for where I tend to ride, it would have, essentially that bike would have been wasted on me. I wouldn't have the fun that I have with this bike, and I wouldn't have been able to ride that bike to its full capabilities. So I'm glad I sold it. The Santa Cruz Bronson, the all-mountain configuration, is phenomenal. I love the way the bike feels. I love the poppiness, the control that I feel, the way I'm willing to take on more and more and more and still feel confident, but at the same time able to do jumps and turns and have that. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, but having that 160 and 150 really makes me feel like I can do anything with the bike. It's not just an all mountain bike where I'll have to sacrifice a little bit of my suspension for when I go downhill, so like an enduro race for instance. With the 160 and 150, it's a little bit more suspension, and the head tube angle is more geared towards, I would say, enduro. Like it's 64.7 degree head tube angle, which is really good. It's honestly perfect. Like I don't feel the front tire lifting up on climbs, but going downhill I feel very confident in my abilities to descend quickly. So as far as future upgrades, what I plan to do first is probably change out this suspension. I think I'm gonna go with the Marzuki CR, the coil spring with the progressive spring. That way, from all the research I've done, it's kind of the best of both worlds. With the progressive screen, it doesn't make it as linear as a coil shock would, where it uses its whole travel and it doesn't matter if it's big or small bumps or anything, it's gonna go through its travel regardless. The progressive spring will allow it to actually ramp up as you get closer to compression of that spring, where an air shock, it has a significant ramp up because obviously it's a chamber of air, and the harder you squeeze that chamber of air, the harder it will be to have that cylinder, or in this case the suspension, close. So it has a higher ramp up. And I think something in the middle would be perfect essentially for a mixed wheel bike, mixed setups. I think would be kind of cool. A Lyric and a Marzuki, which essentially is Fox. The Lyric up front, I don't think I'm going to change it. It's super fun and super responsive. I know you can change the dampers on this one to the Lyric Select Ultimate. I honestly I'm not that good of a rider to notice the difference between this one and the next damper. Maybe that's why the Zeb up front had that new damper, so that's why I made everything feel dead, because it just was so good at doing it. But with this one I feel great, I feel confident. I would like to do the dropper as well, the 1-Up dropper with the 150. Of course, the 1-Up carbon bars, just because I hear such great things about them. I'll cut them to 780 at the time that I get those bars. Probably change it to the 1-Up or Lone Wolf, whatever I can find on special or whatever I can find at the time. Change the remote or the lever. For sure, I think the next thing would probably be shock and wheels. I don't like how these wheels just spin so bad. So I would do this with the Nuke-Proof Giga and it would spin for, I would say, well over a minute. We'll see what this one spins, but I'm assuming it's up. It's already slowing down, so I'm lucky if I get 30 seconds. So that's double the amount of wheel spin, which means that's double the work I have to put in to keep my bike at speed, which is really unfortunate, especially when you're going to do an enduro race and time is of the essence. You kind of want to be able to get the best bang for your buck pedaling. This bike's not going to give it to me, so be it. I plan on getting better rims and hubs and tires. I'll keep the tires. They have great tread on them still. As far as that, like I said earlier, I like to replace all the drivetrain with GX as they start to break. I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. I hope I don't do that anytime soon. And when this fork ends up dying or having to be serviced, I might buy another fork. I'm thinking I'll probably buy the RockShox. I don't know. I don't think I'd buy the Zeb. I don't want to lose the poppy feeling of the bikes. I don't know if I need 38. I might just do the Fox 36 factory, just so that, because I do like that Grip 2 damper that I read so many great things about. So I think that'd be pretty cool, having the 36 factory up front, the Marzuki coil in the rear, GX drivetrain. Don't know what wheel set. I like SpokeX, they're local, which I really love to support local businesses, so honestly I'd most likely give it to them just because I like their carbon wheels, I like their lifetime warranty, and more importantly they're based in the US and they're local to me, so for sure I'd probably be giving my business to SpokeX. And a lot of local riders, local YouTube riders have them, so they say nothing but great things. I believe them. Alright guys, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to leave them in the comments. I do read them all, I do respond to them all. If you guys have any questions about the bike, my last couple bikes, my hand-up gear, just let me know. Even my tattoos, if you guys want to talk about those, just leave them in the comments. I'm always happy to talk about whatever you guys like. Thanks for watching as always, and have a rad day.